Hello, everybody. My name is David Tafoya. I am 24 years old, and I live in the city of Fullerton. Um, I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit of how I grew up. I grew up like any other kid. Went to elementary school. I made some silly choices. I decided to skip class a few times with some of my friends. We went to the local market. We bought some sodas and went home after. It was no harm done. Due to those choices, I got disciplined in probably the worst way a child could get disciplined at home. Um, Due to that, I started to rebel, and at the age of 15, or at the age of 14, I started doing drugs, and I got myself into a bad habit. At the age of 15, I got incarcerated for the first time. I remember walking into the juvenile hall and looking around, telling myself, like, man, I can't believe this right now. And this is not what I want to be doing. They took me in this cell. It was a dark cell with a window in it, and it had a light at the top of the ceiling. I looked out the window and I was looking around, and I sat on my bed and I started to tear up. I told myself, that I didn't want to live like this, and it was just a constant thing getting incarcerated from there. I remember the last time that I was incarcerated, I had spoken with my father, and he told me that he was gonna pass away pretty soon, and he told me that my life would get better, and he also told me that he was gonna wait for me to get out so I could see him one last time before he passes away. The next day, I call my mom, and she's crying, and she tells me that everything's gonna be okay and that my dad had passed away. And I couldn't believe it. I had just spoken with him 12 hours before, and that really hit me hard. And I got out that time. Luckily, I got out to see him at his funeral one last time before they put him in the ground. That time that I got out, I was more angry at myself, and I was angry at the world, and I turned to the drugs even harder than I was before. Um, I guess I started making even more bad choices at that time, and I got myself sent to prison. And I had a lot of time to think in there. And when I got out, my girlfriend sends me a picture of a baby, and and I'm like, why are you sending me a picture of a kid? And she's like, this is your son, and I'm like, yeah, right. It can't be my son. I've been in prison this whole time. And she said it was, and I told her that I wanted to make sure it was my son before I made any serious choices. So after that was over, turns out it is my son, and I knew at that time that I had to step up to the plate. I knew I had to make a change. So I got myself into a treatment program, and in that treatment program, I found Hope Builders through one of my counselors. He told me about it, and at first I wasn't up for the idea. I told him, yeah, thanks for the offer, but I'm okay. And a few days later, I had that thought in my head, like, nothing's gonna change if I don't change. So I took him up on that offer, and he helped me get into this program. I am 9 months sober now. Thank you. Um, I came into this program not knowing anything, no work skills, not even how to show up on time, but everything changed. Now I know how to show up on time. I've learned how to build a house hands on from the ground up. I've learned how to deal with coworkers or work with them. I've learned how to deal with myself and my own emotions. I want to take my skills after this to get myself a job career, and so I can support my family and myself. My motivation for this is to is for myself, so I can feel like I'm worth something, so my son can look up to me. Another motivation is for my family as well. I just want to thank you guys for coming out here tonight and for supporting me and making me believe that I am worth something.